Live.
Namaste. We all know in navigation we require the support of a compass to show the direction which needs to be tread to reach the destination. Similarly, in life too, we require a tool to show us the right direction to reach our goals. Today's youth have great dreams and goals. Disha Bharat, an NGO started in the year 2005, acts as a compass in their life to reach their goals with right means, the values. All the programs of Disha Bharat in educational institutions are intended to nurture ethics and morals in youth towards building a value based, harmonious country. To celebrate and commemorate Indian independence and the glorious history of its people, culture, and achievements, Disha Bharat has launched MyBharat campaign, 15 days online youth campaign imbuing patriotism. As we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, this time Disha Bharat has been conducting many events for the youth and the general public in a big way. One such program is the 15 days evening virtual lecture series, and today is the fifth day of the lecture series. I, Priyanka Yatharth, a volunteer for Disha Bharat, cordially welcome you all. Social reform is reshaping or reforming of culturally accepted laws and norms in the light of new cultural paradigms that occur over time. So, to address about social reforms during Swarajya movement, we have with us today Dr. Guru Prakash Paswan. I welcome you, sir. Dr. Guru Prasad, Dr. Guru Prakash Paswan is a noted thinker, author, columnist, academic, and spokesperson based in Patna and New Delhi. He is an assistant professor at the postgraduate department of law, Patna University. He completed his LLM from National Law University, New Delhi, and LLB from National Law Institute University, Bhopal. His PhD thesis is on the socio-legal dimensions of Article 370 of the Constitution of India. Dr. Paswan has co-authored the book Makers of the Modern Dalit History, published by Penguin Random House, India. His columns on socio-political issues are commonly featured in national dailies. He is also an advisor with the Dalit India Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Guru Prakash ji is a regular panelist on all national TV channels on issues of national concern. So, Dr. Paswan, greetings to you, sir. On behalf of Disha Bharat, I warmly welcome you to today's program and request you to address the audience. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Priyanka ji, and to all the listeners of Disha Bharat. And I myself have been an ardent follower, listener, and beneficiary of Disha Bharat. During the times of COVID as well, we saw a series of very meaningful lectures being organized under the aegis of Disha Bharat on multiple cultural, civilizational issues of national importance as well. And it's very important to continue having such discussions because we believe and we have a very firm and a strong faith that we are a dialogue based civilization. And more so because coming from Bihar, it's very critical to mention this because it was Bihar where when Adi Shankaracharya was on his tour, it was the land of Bihar, the present day district of Saharsa, where he had a very engaging Shastra, a discussion with Mandan Mishra. And Mandan Mishra, it becomes more important because the person who judged this Shastra was none other than Mandan Mishra's wife, Ubhaya Bharti. So how critical and how central this idea of conversation, idea of discussion, debate, and dissent has been with respect to our culture and civilization. You look at any fundamental text that has guided us, Ramayana, Mahabharat. Mahabharat is a product of dialogue, a conversation, Upanishads between Yam and Nachiket. So I think this idea of having a dialogue, a discussion, It's very important. It's very critical. And especially when we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, because you see, post independence, the sort of academic narrative that has come into existence, many unsung heroes, many icons who made the supreme sacrifice for our nation, for our culture, for our civilization, somehow they were not mentioned. They did not get what was due to them. The sort of academic acknowledgement was not given to them. They were marginalized in the pages of history. So I think this is an occasion, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, where it's an obligation, it's a responsibility for all of us, the informed citizenry, to identify such icons, to identify those leaders, because icons inspire, icons create inspiration for people. So during the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, although the government is doing its own part, as a civil society initiative as well, we must work on identifying such icons, such reformers. And that is the topic that has been given to me, the social reform movement, which was very sort of central when it came to the Swaraj movement. Social reform, friends, is a process which is an ongoing process. It's not as if it is started and it will end. It takes its own course. We have seen number of social reformers in different periods of history. Sant Kabir, Ravidas, Ayankali, Narayan Guru, Nandanar, across the country, if you see north, south, east, and west, in fact, in every state, in every district, you would find such social reformers who had the idea that why is it important? Because see, when you have a conversation of social reform, you agree. There is a realization that something needs to be reformed. Certainly, there are certain ambiguities. The sort of social structures has been very problematic over the times. A large section of our society, they were marginalized because of many historical reasons. And it becomes very critical because you see, in this society only, what we say, the integral mechanism, the integral mechanism was central to this society only, that even there were social structures, there were social reformers as well. At different parts, you see, everywhere, like I mentioned, north, south, east, west, we have a galaxy of social reformers. So there are some social reformers I would like to discuss with you about, who have made a phenomenal contribution and have made a remarkable impact when it comes to the social history of our country. Out of many such icons, some of the icons that has inspired me is Ayankali. So Ayankali, very few of us are aware, unfortunately. Ayankali comes from Kerala. He was born in the month of August in 1863. He was one of the oldest of 8 children in the village of Ayan. And he comes from the community which is known as the Pulayar community. Now, Pulayar community are considered as a rural slave in parts of Kerala. Now, see, a person who is born in that community, one among the 8 children, he goes on to become one of the leading social reformers in our history. Robin Jeffrey, a Canadian professor. So that is also an unfortunate part, that we have professors from Canada, professors from UK, professors from US, professors from different Ivy League institutions, different researchers, different scholars who have done research on such social reformers, but homegrown academics. The intellectuals within our own country have not bothered to find and identify such icons. That is another travesty which we have to find out, that if we have someone like Ayankali, who is born in a Pulayar community in the rural part of Kerala, Why and what are the reasons behind his rise? What were the sort of challenges? What were the issues that he was facing? So, Robin Jeffrey, who is a professor based out of Canada, he specializes in the research of Kerala. He has written a book, The Decline of Nair Dominance. And I strongly recommend to our friends who are researchers and scholars and who are more interested and keen on knowing the history of social reform movement must go through this book. Because Kerala, as we know, has been a land of renaissance in multiple senses. Narayan Guru was there, Ayankali was there. You go ancient times, today there is a Jatayu temple which is being made there, Sabrimala temple is there. So the holiness of Kerala in multiple ways must be studied, must be seen into. But coming back to Ayankali, Robin Jeffrey, the Canadian professor, has written very categorically about the contributions of Ayankali. He has said that in those days, no one was allowed to meet. Like the upper caste community, they were not allowed to touch or even eat with them, the Pulayar people. But during that time as well, you had someone like Ayankali. Ayankali said education is a very powerful tool. Ayankali was of the view that through education and education alone, the way of empowerment lies for the Dalit community. He believed that education was the passport that would guarantee an entry into the public sphere. It was a very strong weapon against caste prejudice. It is in this context that in 1912, he prompted the Sri Mulam Popular Assembly to issue an order mandating the admission of Dalit children into the public schools. So, whenever we speak of social reforms, there must be conversations on the issues of the marginalized. Now, who were the marginalized? Who are the marginalized? During those times, the marginalized were coming out of the social structures because of reasons of our social history. There were a section of Dalits who were facing such incidents. So Ayankali rises from the Pulayar community and speaks about these issues. And he's not only speaking, he is also an activist. Through my research during Ayankali, I also found out, friends, that a person who is coming from Pulayar community, a person who is coming from the untouchable community, he has to maintain a measure of distance. So suppose there is a Nambudri person, he has to maintain some distance. The distance decreases if it's a Nair person. It further decreases owing to the position in the social structure and the hierarchy. So these are the sort of realities which we must acknowledge. If we don't acknowledge the reality, then there is no point of doing any social reform. And only in the course of the research, you will find such icons that we had. We had such sons and daughters in our culture and civilization like Ayankali, who not only raised his voice, but also ensured some long lasting measures. Who would have thought that a person from this community will compel the Popular Assembly to issue an order mandating the admission of Dalit children to public schools? So the point is that Baba Sahib Ambedkar did a phenomenal job, but there are similar icons in different parts of country like Ayankali, who have done this long-lasting measures. He raised his voice, he goes to the extent of doing this, and this was possible in our society, in our culture only. So I think it is no wonder that it is Kerala, the land of social reformers. The first legislation of social transformation was recently initiated about having priests from the lower caste community as well. So it is very critical to look at social reform with the prism of reality. It's very important. So apart from Ayankali, if you come to the east, we have Harish Chandra Thakur, who started the Matua Sampradaya, the Matua Samaj. So Harish Chandra Thakur, he was from the Namoshudra community, the Chandal community, during the period of 1870s and during the period of 1880s. He was born to a peasant family. The timing was around 1810, 1812. He reached his pinnacle around 1860 and 1870s. And this again, we have a historian with the name of Shekhar Bandopadhyay. Shekhar Bandyopadhyay says that Harish Chandra Thakur, or in the local colloquial language, Hori Chandra Thakur, he says, Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, that Harish Chandra Thakur experienced Atmadarshan. You can also say self-revelation, through which he realized that he was the incarnation of God himself, born in this world to bring salvation to the downtrodden. Now you look at the movement of the social reform. We have an Ayankali who speaks about education. You go further back, come to the east, the present day Bengal, you have a Harish Chandra Thakur, who is an epitome of faith, who is an epitome of devotion. He founds Matua Sampradaya, which is based on three very basic principles: truth, love, and sanity. So in the south, you have someone like Ayankali. In the east, you have someone like Harish Chandra Thakur from the Matua Samaj, Matua Sampradaya. And how do you sort of make it consumable for the masses? This idea of faith, idea of devotion, when you simplify it, truth, love, and sanity, according to his ideas, all people are equal. And he constantly told his followers to treat everyone with same dignity. Now, what is interesting, friends, that he gives 12 instructions to his followers. So the idea of simplifying the discourse, the idea of making it consumable for the masses. When Ayankali speaks about education, it is about the education where he believes that the empowerment will happen. When Harish Chandra Thakur from Bengal speaks about the faith and devotion, you're sort of creating an atmosphere of cohesion, social integration, social justice. So these ideas must prosper. So when someone like Harish Chandra Thakur says or gives 12 instructions to his followers, it's very important. I will briefly go through these 12 instructions for the benefit of our viewers. So the first instruction is always speak the truth. The second instruction is treat the woman as your mother being, which is essentially respect the woman. The third instruction is always respect your parents. The fourth instruction is treat your neighbors and all earthly living beings with love, pity, and kindness. The fifth instruction is never discriminate on caste grounds. The sixth instruction is bring all the six passions of the mind under your control. He further goes on describing the six passions of mind: lust, anger, greed, infatuation, pride, and jealousy. Now look at the power of this man. Look at the power of this social reformer. The seventh instruction, remain liberal to all other religion and creed. The eighth instruction, become honest in mind and activities and avoid saintly dresses to adorn yourself with. The ninth instruction, perform your duties devotedly and utter the sacred Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari is Ishwar, and Bol when you do the bhajan. Hari Bol and pray to God simultaneously. 10th instruction, build a temple of pure thoughts in your heart and soul, and a temple of Sri Hari Parameshwar at your dwelling place. 11th instruction, pray daily to God with devotion and sanctity. 12th instruction, sacrifice yourself to the cause of God. So friends, the idea, you have someone from the Pulaya community in Kerala is speaking about social cohesion, is speaking about equality. You have someone like a Harish Chandra Thakur in East India, in Bengal, where he starts his own Matua Samaj, Matua Sampradaya. So if you avoid looking at history from the colonial perspective, the problem is that we have become accustomed to see history from the prism of the colonizers. Now, how much effort we have given in decolonizing the Indian mind, that is a question of different lecture. But the problem is this, that we talk about this idea of social inequality. Agreed, it is a reality. Social inequality is there. Social injustice is there because of social structures. That is why measures are needed. The measures are needed. The constitution has given sufficient measures, but also at the same times, we had such icons with this sort of foresight and insight across the country, which we were not told about. So this is where the problem starts. Now, these days there are multiple political parties. Now, for instance, you have Raja Suheldev. Raja Suheldev comes from Bahraich in Uttar Pradesh. There are political parties in his name, but unfortunately, they are not aware of his ideas, his contribution. So it is easy to do politics in the name of social justice, but it is very difficult, or through their agenda, they have their different propaganda machinery, they use it to their political advantage. That is what is happening today. Even the academic discourse on social justice, the academic discourse on social justice is being trivialized by the politicians who do politics in the name of social justice. They are doing a disservice to both the causes, to the political cause as well as to the academic cause. But as an aware citizen, as part of informed citizenry, as part of civil society, we must make an effort. We must make an attempt to identify these icons. And I think Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is a great idea. It is only through the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav that you find icons like these who are hidden or who were deliberately hidden in the pages of history. They did not get the respect they deserve. You will find them, if there is a good chance, then in the footnotes, in the side notes, in the end notes, in the bibliography. But why there were no books? Why there were no good academic projects initiated on these icons? We must ask today. And beyond asking, we must see that at our level, what we can do. Can we read about them? Can we study about their contribution? It becomes extremely important. Another great social reformer whose contribution has sort of stayed with me, he comes from South. Nandanar. Now, Nandanar, we have Ayankali from Pulayar community, the present day scheduled caste. We have Harish Chandra Thakur, who studied the Matua Samaj, a Namo Shudra, a Chandal from the Chandal community. Now we have a Nandanar in Tamil Nadu. Now, Tamil Nadu also, friends, has given some of the greatest rulers of our subcontinent. I'm sure we are aware of the Cholas, the Cheras, the Pandyas. Apart from great rulers, we have seen the academic culture, poets, Kamban, Tiruvallur, Subramanya Bharati. We have seen patriots such as Chitambram Pillai, Subramanya Shiva, Panchitanathan. It's extremely important that whenever you do a study on social reform, that you go there and among the legion of leaders, among the galaxy of leaders, who were the real icons? It's extremely critical. Now you see Nandanar. Nandanar comes from the scheduled caste community as well. Nandanar, interestingly, was one of the 3 saints from the SC community to whom Ambedkar dedicated his book, The Untouchables. Baba Sahib Ambedkar dedicates his book, The Untouchables, to Nandanar, who was born in the present-day Tanjavur district. So it's extremely critical. Now, about Nandanar, it's interesting to note that the Periya Puranam, the Tamil account of 63 Shaivite saints that was compiled by Shekiyar in the 12th century, it tells us that Nandanar belonged to Adanur community in the Chola kingdom. No, sorry, Adanur region in the Chola kingdom. He came from the Pariyar caste. Now, people from Nandanar's community were agricultural laborers, singers. And it is interesting to note here that if an upper caste member in those days, even see them, they have to take shower, they have to maintain a distance of 10 meters. Now, Nandanar is also an example of the tradition of social reformers, where he ensures that his people are also given access to temple. Now, you have someone like Nandanar from Tamil Nadu, you have someone like Harish Chandra Thakur from Bengal, you have someone like Ayankali from Kerala. Idea is to read about them. Idea is to sort of kindle their legacies, study about them. You go up north in Maharashtra, you know Jyotiba Phule and Savitribai Phule. Although with respect to, if you compare the previous three saints like Ankali, Nandanar, and Harishchandra Thakur, with respect to them, we will find literature on the contribution of the Phules, the Jyotiba Phule and Savitri Bai Phule, because they come from Maharashtra and the sort of long-lasting measures they took. It's extremely important, friends, to realize, and that is the reason why Savitri Bai Phule is called the first lady teacher of India. You look at the far-sightedness of Jyotiba Phule. Jyotiba Phule was doing good in his business, but coming from the Mali community, he realizes the relevance and significance of education. And not only this, there is an incident where Savitri Bai Phule was about to give birth to a child, but there were some difficulties. So people told Jyotiba Phule that there are some difficulty. Why don't you remarry? Jyotiba Phule registered his protest. During that time, you can only imagine that a person like Jyotiba Phule, he registered a protest and said that there might be some deficiency in me. Why are you only blaming Savitri Bai? So apart from being an ardent educationist, a social reformer, he was deeply progressive when it comes to the issues of women empowerment as well. Even today, you tell me, where will you find such men? Jyotiba Phule, so any person who becomes great, it happens only because of this, because of their ideas, because of their measures, because of their contributions. Much has been said about it, but we must always make an effort to academically analyze and make them relevant even for today's generation. Because like I said at the start of my lecture, that social reform is an ongoing process. It is not as if it was required during that time, so we are not going to undertake any exercise of social reform today. It is an ongoing process, and even today, social reform is happening. You look at our political history, for the first time, friends, we have a person from a scheduled tribe community, that also woman. A woman from the scheduled tribe community is reaching the highest constitutional office in the country for the first time in our political history. I consider that as a social reform as well. The ascent and the appointment of Draupadi Murmu ji is also a very brave and courageous act of social reform. It is very important. You see, the story of Draupadi Murmu ji, we are all aware. But the amount of hope, the amount of inspiration that has given to millions of youngsters from the Dalit community and the scheduled tribe community. This is what I call the real achievement of social reform. And the tradition of social reform is in our DNA. The idea of social reform is not alien to us. Social reform is present in the DNA of our culture, in the DNA of our society. Like I mentioned, due to paucity of times, I cannot give you hundreds of other such icons. Sant Kabir, look at the sort of vision Sant Kabir had. जाति न पूछो साधु की, पूछ लीजिए ज्ञान. जाति न पूछो साधु की, पूछ लीजिए ज्ञान. मान करो तलवार की, पड़ी रहने दो म्यान. Such powerful statement in such simple language. Why are you worried about the caste of a person? It is pointless to know about the caste of a person. जाति न पूछो साधु की, पूछ लीजिए ज्ञान. What does he know? What skill he has? मान करो तलवार की, पड़ी रहने दो म्यान. म्यान, तलवार. You should respect the soul, not the body. There are multiple interpretations, but every interpretation is towards social harmony. Every interpretation is towards social cohesion, social unity. Such deep philosophers. Many of youngsters from my generation, they say, have you read about Henry David Thoreau, Socrates, Aristotle? I'm not discounting their contributions. But it is also our fundamental duty, friends, that we must be aware of the contributions of our philosophers. They were not only philosophers, but they were also activists. They thought, they planned, they executed. Someone like Ayankali, he executed the idea. Let us make education compulsory for all the scheduled caste. Someone like Nandanar, who devoted his life for opening the doors of temple, the center of faith. Someone like Harish Chandra Thakur in present-day Bengal starts a new sect and makes the discourse so simple. Someone like Dayanand Saraswati, who starts Arya Samaj. Someone like Pandit Shriram Sharma, who is the founder of Gayatri Parivar. So this tradition, social reforms tradition, A, it's an ongoing process. B, it is in the DNA of our culture and civilization. This is from our saint tradition. Kabir, Ayankali, Nandanar, Harish Chandra Thakur, Dayanand Saraswati, Swami Sahajanand Saraswati. Where I come from, Bihar, he comes from an upper caste community. But he was the first person to raise about the issues, concerns of the labor class. So the idea is to not pitch one group of people against another group of people. You look at the life, you look at the journey of all these philosophers and social reformers. Never once they were disappointed. Never once they said to raise arms. Never once they instigated or promoted or encouraged violence. Because when I say that social cohesion, the idea of social transformation is in the DNA of our culture, our people, the social structures. It is also important to note that we are ready to accept. And this is the reason. You come a bit forward, you would realize that when Mahatma Gandhi also starts his political activism through multiple initiatives, but specifically if you speak about Swaraj. Now, talking about Swaraj, you would see that Bal Gangadhar Tilak. I also consider him a great social reformer because it was Bal Gangadhar Tilak who said that in the Ganesh Yatras, everyone will come. In the Ganesh Utsav, it is not going to be exclusive for one group, one community. Everyone will come. Everyone will have access. But we are not told about that. What is the story behind this? So this is something which we must realize. That the version of history which we are being said, the version of history which we are being told, are we questioning it sufficiently or not? Are we sort of invigorating it permanently or not? This is something which we are not asking. And that is the reason you see the academic establishment throughout the time. Only one idea. At times, I am very surprised to see that the entire freedom struggle, one organization, one family, there are multiple stands. There are multiple institutions that have dedicated itself to the cause of freedom movement. But why are we not speaking about it? Have we been curious enough? Have we asked sufficient questions? Have we identified them? Apparently not. Who is going to do it on our behalf? As the informed citizens, it is our duty. And friends, in this tradition only, you see Babu Jagjeevan Ram. Babu Jagjeevan Ram is an important figure. And why do I consider him in this point of social reform? That is again very critical. Babu Jagjeevan Ram comes from the marginalized community. Mahatma Gandhi and Babu Jagjeevan Ram, they worked for Harijan Sevak Sangh. Why is Harijan Sevak Sangh important? Because the then leadership of the freedom movement realized that it's very critical that unless until you make everyone the stakeholders, unless until everyone realizes that they have an important contribution to make. Babu Jagjeevan Ram comes from the Dalit community. His family was an ardent follower of Shiv Narayani sect. But what sort of version are we fed? What sort of issues are we facing when it comes to Dalit discourse today? When it comes to social reforms today? Now, social reform has taken a form of social justice. That is also fine. But like I said, people who are doing their politics in the name of social justice, are they serving to the cause or not? This is a question which we must ask. Because as a society, as a culture, as a civilization, we are proud that we have had such icons like Kabir, Ravidas, Ayankali, Nandanar, Horishchandra Thakur, Swami Dayanand Saraswati of Arya Samaj, Swami Sajanand Saraswati. So it is very critical, friends, to understand and highlight the contribution of these icons. You come during the Swaraj period, because the Swaraj period is the entire freedom struggle starting from 1800 to 1947. We are aware of the contribution of Phule. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, for that matter. Baba Sahib Ambedkar has been very critical about our practices, the social evils. But eventually, Baba Sahib Ambedkar also had faith. During multiple lectures, he says that character is important. And character comes only from spiritual development. But in what sort of light are we showed the legacy of Baba Sahib Ambedkar? Baba Sahib Ambedkar eventually chooses a faith that was born in India. Today you see Buddhism, peace, non-violence. But today people who are doing politics in the name of Baba Sahib Ambedkar, they have added the name of army with Baba Sahib, Bhim Army. It is an oxymoron. When a person who has dedicated his life for the cause of social harmony, social justice, representation, and inclusion, it hurts me as a scholar, as an activist, as a person from the community. It hurts me when we see the trivialization of such great icons. But the problem arises when we have to ask such questions. Who is responsible for this? Why our present day generation are not being told about the legacy of these social reformers? Who is responsible for this? These are some really tough questions which we must ask today. But the most important part, which I sincerely hope and I sincerely wish that you remember, you take note of, that social reform, friends, is an ongoing process. It starts with Kabir, Ravidas, and even today it's going with the rise of Draupadi Murmu ji. It's a brave act of social reform. And let no one teach you like the colonizers. Our faith, our culture, we are very central to social reform. We are very receptive of social reform because we have given social reforms. We have not shied away from accepting and acknowledging the social realities. We have never run away from that. That is the reason that we have had a very flourishing culture of social reform traditions. We have had such a galaxy of icons who have led the social reform movement from the front across the country. East, west, south, north, everywhere you will see that we have had an element of social reforms across. So I sincerely hope that Disha Bharat team also initiate some academic exercises, academic project to make our present generation aware of their contribution, aware of their life, their struggle. Because I am of firm commitment that we will reach towards the pinnacle of social reform. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. But it is a journey which we must participate together with the idea of social harmony, social cohesion, and social justice at the back of our mind. I sincerely hope we learn from them. I sincerely hope that we take a cue from their life and their struggle, because the solution is within us. The idea is to turn the searchlight inwards and find the solutions. With this, I would like to summarize. I hope I made sense. I did some research and conveyed the ideas of the topic which was given to me, the social reform movement during the Swaraj period. And we sincerely look forward to undertaking some major academic exercises on the lives and times of these social reformers. With these words, I would like to summarize. And if you have any thoughts, if you have any observations, if you have any questions, please feel free to pass it on to Priyanka ji or me. Thank you so much, friends. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Ji. If you permit, I would like to ask few questions.
Please, please.
Question number one. Sir, social reforms happened as part of people's mobilization in 19th and 20th century. But at present, many are dependent on government. They blame government if sufficient help is not provided. Sir, how to make today's youth as social volunteers and how to make social service as a part of life?
Oh, certainly, I think, see, like I said, Priyanka ji, that it is obviously it is in our culture, it is in our DNA. But whenever you see, the government has its limits. The government cannot go beyond an extent. The government cannot go beyond a mandate. But like I said, the example of Draupadi Murmu ji is an excellent example, that you lead through examples. If our youngsters today, I come from Bihar, and Bihar, unfortunately, we have this problem. The problem is across the country. The problem is more exposed. The social differences which exist there. But the answer is with the youth. Whenever you have a problem, a movement starts. Jai Prakash Narayan movement starts here. Politics of Mandal starts from here. But on how to promote social volunteerism, now that is a very critical question. And I think organization like Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, organization like Vanavasi Kalyan Ashram have instigated the youngsters, have encouraged the youngsters to work and think for the society. We have many many youngsters across the country who are working as full-timers for this cause. But I agree with you when you say that we need more such volunteers for the cause. And I am hopeful, I am optimistic that in the times to come, whenever we see a problem, one among us, some youngsters would certainly rise to the occasion and would definitely work towards finding a solution. And like I said, I am of the firm belief that it's not a destination, it's not a one-time solution, it is a journey. You will find solution, parts of solution, and eventually, I don't know when, but it is a journey, it is an ongoing process.
Thank you, sir, for your optimistic reply. Moving on to question 2. History textbooks and also academic and intellectual domain does give a comprehensive detail of social reformers of India. There are several unsung heroes who were never recognized, or such works were not properly documented. So, what is your opinion about making a proper documentation of unsung or lesser known social reformers of India from each state?
You see, this is a book, The Great Tribal Warriors of Bharat. You mentioned about my book. I unfortunately don't have a copy of that. But for the benefit of your viewers, I will mention about some name which has been mentioned here. Tilka Manji in Jharkhand, Buddhu Bhagat, U. Tirot Singh, Siddhu Kano, Tatya Bhil, Guru Gobind Giri, Jata Orao, Alluri Sitaram Raju, Lakshman Nayak, Komaram Bhim, Helen Lepcha, Rani Garden Liu. So the point is that these sort of exercises, these sort of academic project must be initiated. You mentioned about our book, Makers of Modern Dalit History. What we have done, we have taken lessons, we have identified, we have researched on the contribution of Kabir, Ravidas. Now, many such icons, like you mentioned, that they are unsung. There is so much conversation on social justice. Very few you will find Dalit women issues. Now, you will be surprised to find that Dakshini Velayudhan. Dakshini Velayudhan was the only Dalit woman present in the Constituent Assembly. But how many of us are aware of her? How many of us are aware of her contribution? She is another social reformer from Kerala. In mentioning about Kerala, so you see such academic projects are happening, and I'm very happy. As an academic, as an assistant professor, I think this is an appropriate time that government has also initiated this exercise of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Through Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we will see many such academic projects begin, and our generation, next generation, will be made aware of these contributions. I'm again optimistic, Priyanka.
Thank you, sir. So my last question to you would be, what is your message for young teachers and college students on the occasion of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav?
See, in the course of my lecture, I mentioned repeatedly that how can we think outside the box? Now, icons from the marginalized communities. There is so much politics from marginalized communities. I would sincerely request my young friends, especially on the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, that beyond politics, people who have dedicated their life for social harmony, for social cohesion, can we initiate conversations? Can we sort of speak about the issues of Kabir? Can we have smaller study circles dedicated to we can weekly discuss about the different dohas of Kabir, dohas of Sant Ravidas, stories of Babu Jagjeevan Ram, the valor and the courage of someone like Sardar Udham Singh, Rani Jhalkari Bai. We are not aware that Rani Jhalkari Bai comes from the Dalit community. A Dalit woman makes the supreme sacrifice for our freedom during that time. So why are we not aware of them? In this digital age, I am assured, I am of the firm opinion that in this digital age, research is very easy. It is very accessible. It is very affordable. Can we, as youngsters, initiate projects on identifying these icons? Can we initiate study circles? Can we form groups and study about Nandana, study about Harishchandra Thakur, study about Ayangali, study about Narayan Guru? Because it will serve as an education not only for us, but for the next generation. You will be creating resources as well. The books like The Great Tribal Warriors, the books like The Makers of Modern Dalit History, we need thousands of such projects. And believe me, trust me, multiple such initiatives are happening. And in the next couple of years, you will see more such projects being released.
Thank you, G, for your encouraging reply to the youth of the country. So we have reached for the end of the program. So this is the time for a vote of thanks. On behalf of Disha Bharat, I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Paswan for throwing us the light on unknown icons and sharing his views on social reforms during Swaraj movement. Thank you, sir, for being with us today. Before we conclude, I would like to inform you all about tomorrow's lecture. Tomorrow, we will have Dr. KG Suresh with us to address about media and literary movements during freedom struggle. Also, we will, as part of the MyBharat campaign, we are organizing a state-level essay competition for the students from grade 9 to postgraduates. All the students who are interested can submit their essay by August 15th and participate in the contest. So, with this, I would like to conclude today's program. Request you to all join us again tomorrow. Thank you all for being with us today. Jai Hind.